In my mind, the goal is to saw the entire log with the absolute minimum of stoppages, hand touches, whatever you want to call it, and I want the sawdust coming out of the sawmill as much as possible, because if it ain't the sawdust ain't coming out the chute, then you ain't sawing, you're doing something else. And when you're running a sawmill, the goal is to use the mill and saw some wood, not do a bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to tell you a little story. Many years ago, I bought an LT40 sawmill. Now, I've had 3 different sawmills plus a chainsaw mill, but in this instance, I bought an LT40, and that's what we used to start our business with. And we started getting behind. I mean, we saw up a lot of wood. I needed a bigger sawmill. Bigger, better, faster. So we bought an LT70 Super wide head, twice the engine, twice the speed, 6 times the hydraulics. Man, it was going to be the game changer. We spent a lot of money on it. Brought it home, and you wouldn't believe that my production stayed almost exactly the same at the end of the day. I mean, seriously. You buy twice the sawmill and you're still sawing the same amount of lumber. I mean, a little bit more, I mean, sure, but not a whole lot. So that's when we had to start looking at ourselves, me, and the way we were doing things. And that's when it hit me. It wasn't really the sawmill that was holding up my production. It was my way of doing things. And that's where I coined a phrase. Some people have heard it, some people have not, but it's basically take steps to save steps. If you're not saving steps, now we're not talking about just steps like in your feet, we're talking about entire steps. Just delete them. Try to figure techniques around those steps, and when you delete those steps, your production goes up. If your sawmill is not producing sawdust, you're wasting time. There's a lot of truth to that. Now, I'm not saying you can eliminate all that, but what I am saying, you ought to take a real hard look. I don't have a clock up there anymore, but if you really want to feel bad about your technique, put a big old clock right up in your face, and every time that sawdust isn't coming out of that sawmill chute, or that blade is not in that wood and that motor's loaded up, look up at that clock, and then when you do get sawdust coming out of the chute, look up at the clock and say, I just lost 2 minutes. What were you doing? Was it important? Was it something you don't have to do? Is it something you can skip? All right, so here's what we got. Just kind of show you my layout. Here is my roller table. You can see I've already got the tractor with the forks pre-positioned right here. The stuff falls down the table, plops right on the fork. I don't have to touch it again. The log is ready and laying right here. Of course, I've got a sawdust chute because I hate shoveling sawdust. I hate sawdust in general, so we've got a big dust collector. And we have the outfeed table. Now, Wood-Mizer sold me this table. And not that I'm saying that Wood-Mizer doesn't do everything just perfect. I just don't understand why they would sell an outfeed table that doesn't have a tail roller on it. Maybe they need to. Of course, then they ought to pay me royalties for it. But either way, this is a standard Wood-Mizer outfeed table. It's flat steel, but at the end, I had to weld on a roller. And that roller really helps feed boards. It's a little bit higher, so once it hits that roller, it's friction free. I've also adjusted this roller, in case you've ever wondered. I've got this roller just a little bit high. This is my first roller. It's higher than my toe boards and my bed rails. The idea being that once the board or cant hits this, it's frictionless. It's up on a rolling surface, and that way it's not just dragging as it slides across the steel. And then that makes it easier for me to push it to this outfeed table. And the goal is between here and here and there, I should be able to get about 5 stacks of wood. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but certainly the goal is to touch it as least amount of times as possible. I mean, it's running. So now all the sawdust is going through the dust collector. Let's see how many steps I don't have to do while I'm sawing this log. While I'm running a camera that's wasting steps, but I think it's worth it. And I probably will stop a few times and talk about a few things. But either way, the main thing is, just notice how few times I'm actually having to touch the boards, if at all possible. So let's fire it up. So yeah, it is kind of nice having these log loader arms here. Just get it over there, pull it over with a chain. Now I'm gonna get trying to figure out where to get my colors and everything's set up. I need to adjust this just a little more. I don't have it the way I want it. I'm doing parallel bark sawing. One of the easiest ways to make sure your log is level is to take your fingers and drag that down the length. And it looks like it's high on that back side. So I'm going to come up just a little bit more. I'm going to adjust it backwards, clamp it. Now I'm going to bring my head back. See how they're riding right on top of the bark right there? As long as the fingers are about the same distance above the bark, this will be a parallel bark saw log. So that's a pretty quick way to do it. So I've got the log up, I got it clamped, I've got it leveled, I've got the stress crack in the direction I want, and certainly I still haven't had to touch it. But let's make a cut. I'm going to try to get a 6-inch face. NHLA grade rules really want a 6-inch clear face for a high grade board. I've discussed that before, so I'm going to try to eyeball it and start out with a 6-inch face. So let's see how we do. I'm going to drop down. Right about there. It looks like that may be a good cut. Pull that back. There's a lot of things we can do to waste time right here. But normally what I'm going to do is try not to waste time. So I'm going to drop the first slab on the table right here. I'm going to inspect to make sure I have a proper opening face. I do. You can see how it looks like a road. It's about the same distance here as it is down there, which means this is sawn parallel to this face, not the pith, but to the bark. So I'm good there. Now what I'm going to do is, I know I've got to edge a couple of these. These are called flitches. The first couple boards with the bark on them are flitches. F-L-I-T-C-H-E-S. So what I'm typically not going to do is I would not stop and take this board and move it to the roller table. I'm going to try to do my drops, get about 2 flitches, rotate, throw the flitches on the loader arms, and then come around and get another slab, drop both slabs here, and get both of them over there. That makes sense? I hope so. Let's do it. All right, now I'm going to take the next two flitches. Typically, I'll take two, and I'll either send them to the edger or drop them on the loader arm. Play those guys off. I'm going to bring this guy back. Going to land right on the table. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this next cut. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to take these guys, put them right here, and let them roll off. Put it on the table, give it a little twist, and say bye-bye. Boom. Right here. A little push. Wave goodbye. It's gone. So I've got a fully formed edge right here, minus that, which means I don't need to keep taking any more barky flitches on this. I'm done. So what I want to keep doing is walking around the log until I get these formed up. Let's see if I can do this next one kind of at real speed. Make sure I'm recording. Pull the head back to get it out of the way so I don't break my fingers. Make sure all my toe boards are down. Put it in hydraulic mode. We'll use my chain turner, be gentle. Flop it down, 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 down. Set my clamp, push it over. Come down. I may need to get 3 on this side. I don't know. We'll find out. And this is where I go into what's called pattern mode. Calculates how many boards I need to go down to the bed. Bring it back. Get my auto down. I got my drops. Probably going to get 2 on this one. Okay, I'm going to bring that up, give it a big flip. Like that. Get my chain turner up. Gentle. I don't bang my sawmill. Set everything back down. Bring it back. Do some more. Bring this guy back. We're just going to drop him there. We're just going to leave it. And you'll notice I really only have to take 1 flip off this side. Okay? Back, got back. Drop those. So that's gorgeous. Wow. Again, a minimum amount of sawdust. I certainly don't need to scrape it. There's not really enough on there to mess with. I've got basically a fully formed can. Not quite, but yeah, pretty much. I got these edgings or these flitches that I can edge if I want to. If I ever need to get them, I can simply get a forklift, lift up the arms, get a forklift, carry them out. And once again, let him go pick this guy up. Give him a little bit of a go and see ya. So far, that's the only time I've had to touch anything, really, is to get those 4 guys off there. I only had to do 2 touches. So This is the saving time thing. Now we've got basically a fully formed cant. Now I'm going to try to get this guy in the boards over here in an optimum fashion with as much color as I can. So I'm going to make some adjustments to my pattern for that. As you'll notice on this cant, the colors are all in these outer bands. And if I just start whittling down to the center, I'm going to lose my color. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do, but I may end up losing some color on some of these boards, but I'm going to try to maintain wide color as much as I can before I start running out. But either way, I'm not real sure. What I'm going to do, I guess, is a short answer at this point. I am sure that I don't want to stop and be tickling the wood. I want to cut the wood. Don't tickle the wood, cut the wood. What do you think, Chip? You're on TV. He's wanting to play, you know. So I know I'm going to get two off this face. These are going to be beautifully, very highly figured boards. Pull them off. All right. I'm down to about 12, almost 13 inches here. I'm going to bring these two guys back. We get 3 here. We're going to get 3 here. Looking pretty good. I'm going to lose my color, I think, once I get a little closer in. It's part of it. Pull these back, it will land right on top, right there. Take a couple of these. I can get one more. Try to get it to bridge the gap. I did. What's going on here? Drop down. Just a separate place. So I'm going to take this guy right here, put them right there. And we'll take this guy, slide him off right here. So that's more handling than I want to do, but that's what, 10 seconds, I guess. So now I'm going to pick these guys up. I'm going to put them back on this other stack, like this. Ooh, try not to knock them off. Right there. Okay. Now all we have left is that little guy, which I'm going to saw down for it. So far, I got pretty much this whole log stacked up like a wad of dominoes here. And all we really got to do is that little guy, and we're done. I'm just going to saw him down. These boards are all about 6 inches wide, so I'm just going to saw down through them. Assuming I have the head clear to do it, there's no reason to stop. There's going to be some in the middle that'll be messed up, because they'll be going right through the pit. But the reality is it doesn't really matter, because I may use them for pallets or who knows what. I think I'll make it. All right. Bring it back. So watch this little roller right here. When I drag the wood back, you'll see it'll jack up on it. You'll see it'll jack up on it, and that will help me. I'll go slow. See how it lifts it up, and then it allows it to push it forward. And that takes a lot of the friction force off of everything. All right, here's what we got. We got this huge domino of disaster here. I got one pile, two pile, three, kind of 3.5, 4, 5, and 6, plus the flitches down there where I'm going to edge with the old camera tripod in front of it. Let's just do a big panorama here. Remember those were those 4 slabs? I did have to touch them. I did have to touch once right in there to make that little adjustment to get these guys off of there to here, but that wasn't that big a deal. I didn't have to slow down much. And this is how I take steps to save steps. In my mind, the goal is to saw the entire log with the absolute minimum of stoppages, hand touches, whatever you want to call it. And I want the sawdust coming out of the sawmill as much as possible, because if it ain't the sawdust ain't coming out the chute, then you ain't sawing, you're doing something else. And when you're running a sawmill, the goal is to use the mill and saw some wood, not do a bunch of other stuff. It sounds kind of stupid and self-explanatory, but don't forget, when I got my LT40 and upgraded to my 70, I didn't see a production increase until I figured out that I was the problem, wasn't the sawmill. Anyway, we're gonna do I'm gonna stack this wood up, we're gonna do some planing, and then we will see y'all next week. Hey, y'all wanna go in there and watch us run this big old planer? We'll do that, how's that? That'd be kind of cool. I mean, seriously, Chip, did you get dirty enough? Did you get dirty enough? Look at the grass. Oh, man. Get it in your eyes. It's tough being a dog. In the summertime, we'll go into the pond. Wash you off. It's too cold for that. You just sit there and look cute. We're going to plane some wood, okay? Hey, hey, Chip, can you go get the forklift? I'll get that load, okay, and bring it on into the kiln, all right? I'll be there in a minute. Or go get that. Hey, can you go get that forklift and bring that load of wood in? All right, we'll be waiting on you. You're done with your lunch break, aren't you? I hope. Yeah, okay. If you'd like me to do a video on how to get 3-phase power to your sawmill, I'll do it. We run 2 different techniques. We run a phase converter off line power. Then we also have this little bitty generator. It's a 7.3 liter V8 Chevy, if I remember correctly. And it puts out right at 80 kilowatts and burns propane. So if you'd like me to cover how to get 3-phase power to your sawmill or workshop, because it is a huge benefit, I'll be glad to do that. Just leave some comments to that in the bottom. Anyway, let's turn it on. There we go. Purring like a kitten. Did you ever just want to? They don't like that. I'm no good playing the piano, but I can play a generator. Let's get this damn wood playing before I go crazy. Let's knock it out. I always put one in. Let's see how she looks. That's a stack of wood. We ate that pretty quick. All right, now comes the hard part. We gotta move it. Oh, look at Martha go. I was gonna help her. Uh-oh. She can put the brakes on it. There we go. Oh, now he's in the fork. Now he's in the forklift. Wow. All right. You gonna drive it, Chip? Or you gonna make Martha do it? Well, he don't really look up for it. There you go. You're so cute. What about me? You're beautiful. Thanks. Good save, huh? And see, even with all that clowning around, we still made it by quitting time. So I hope y'all enjoyed this one. I did, and we will see y'all next week. Thanks for visiting our sawmill. Click on the links above to see more of our videos.